How to bridge the gap from being the flirty guy to being the sexual or intimate or more man to woman romantic guy, right? I've had a bunch of clients over the years that have always told me they were on a date with a girl, they were in an interaction with a woman, and it just never went beyond a little bit of flirtiness. They wanted to kiss the girl, they wanted it to go further, and they weren't able to bridge that gap. And because of that, they kind of fell off into this category of nice guy or not sexual guy. Not that you need to be this like boy on the front end, but they never converted the date to taking it into a further direction. And it's because they're not doing the things I want to share with you in this video. Right? I had a recent client call where I was breaking down his date with him. This is somebody who came into my program who was barely approaching, who was not good with his conversation skills. He was going on 0 dates initially, and in a matter of 6 weeks, we took him from that to actually getting out into the field multiple times per week, approaching women, getting over his approach anxiety, having longer interactions, and he started to land dates from in-person daytime interaction. Right? This was also a guy who was drinking on the weekends because he needed to get over anxiety and meet women through the use of alcohol and online dating. Right? So over the 6 weeks, we got him to stop doing nighttime, or if he does, he doesn't need to drink anymore, but he's also landing dates from daytime approaching. And so now the sticking point is converting on these dates. Right? And there's one in particular. So I want to share with you what he did to overcome that. Now, if you're not even getting onto dates or you're getting stuck on the date or you want to get better with the approaching side of things to start landing more dates or not be dependent on alcohol or not be dependent on online dating, click the link down below. You can actually apply to work with me directly. That way I can help you fast track this progression and have you start landing dates with quality women. Now let's talk about what to do on these dates, because my client, he's a little bit flirty, but it didn't go beyond that point. And there's a couple different steps I want to lay out. So if you're on a date with a woman, before I even get into the steps, just the structure of a date that I recommend is that there should be multiple location changes throughout the date. All right, do not just sit at the table across from the woman very far away with your hands like this and you have this resume exchange interview. There's going to be 0 opportunity to build it. So it's okay if you start across, but maybe have a bite to eat. Then you guys get up from there and you go walk to another location. And while you guys are walking, you tell her to grab your arm while you guys cross the street. You guys go sit down on a nice bench or some place that's overlooking a nice view. You have a moment there. Maybe you guys go to a cafe after for some dessert. Maybe then she sits next to you. You take her to another place where there's like a little bit of music playing and you guys have a nice little couch next to each other, or you go play some game where there's some physical touch. There should be multiple location changes. This doesn't need to be a 10-hour date either. This could happen over the course of 2 hours. All right, do not pick this interview mode date. Have multiple things that you could lead the woman to do. It keeps the date fresh, keeps their new conversation topics to talk about as the environments change, but most importantly, it allows for multiple locations to be touching and ultimately getting closer, which is a very important part of this video, okay? Because part 1 to this, now that we understand the structure to it, of like, that's how you need to plan out your date ahead of time. You go find those locations, at least 2 locations. You start at one, you guys walk, commute, transport to the next one. So there's kind of like 3 locations in that, right? There's the first location, then there's you guys walking to the car and sitting in the car, driving to the next spot, then walking into the next spot and then sitting down at the next spot. There could also be multiple movements within the venue or the location. So you're on the first floor, you have your food, then you go to the rooftop and you sit down up there. Then you guys leave the venue, walk somewhere, sit down outside, get some fresh air. Then you guys go get a coffee, you sit down somewhere else, right? So there's just movement to it, all right? Understanding that though, how do we bridge the gap, okay? Well, the first thing is, step 1, there needs to be verbal flirtatiousness in the date, all right? And I don't mean once. I mean, it starts off, the moment the date starts, you hug her, get a little bit of touch, you say, you look really cute tonight, right? Elaborate on what you notice about her compared to the first time you saw her or her profile, whatever it is. Then the date starts, okay? Then we go to location 1. So there's already a little bit of touch, a little bit of verbal flirtiness. Every 15-ish minutes, there should be some sort of flirty, verbally thing going on, right? It doesn't need to be you keep calling her cute, but you know, every so often there's a little bit of a tease. Then there's this hypothetical joke of you teasing her about yeah, I wonder if you'd be able to keep up with my workouts. You definitely wouldn't be able to keep up with me in the kitchen. I'm like a way better cook than you. Or listen, I'll cook, but you know, I need a cute chef assistant that's gonna do the dishes for me, right? Like these are flirty, cute little things. You're talking about this location, you look at her in a certain way, you're like, are you gonna travel with me? Damn, I think I might have just found my new travel assistant, but you say this little teasy line, right? So you make it about the two of you guys multiple times. Every 10, 15, 20 minutes. Do not let an hour go by. I've broken down conversations and date recordings from clients before, and I will just simply look at the audio and I'll say, hey, you flirted at this one point at the 13-minute mark, and we're 40 minutes into this date. 40 minutes, there was one tiny line. Like, that's not gonna make an interaction flirty. She's not gonna feel the spark because you're not actually creating the spark in that. So yes, every 10, 15 minutes, there's a tease, there's a little bit of intent, there's this hypothetical joke about you two being together in the future to do this thing. There's this playful challenge about you wonder if she could keep up with you in this thing. There's this other joke about you guys doing this thing together. There's callback humor. 15 minutes later, revisiting one of these topics, you bring it back up again. When new information has been brought up, you say, oh, actually, wait, that was kind of cocky. I don't know if we could actually cook and clean. Like, I don't know if we could be good in the kitchen together. You don't seem trustworthy. I don't think I could trust you with the chef knife now, right? Or, damn, so you're always late? How are we gonna travel together then? You're not gonna even make it to the flight. I'm gonna end up flying to Puerto Rico by myself. Right? So you make these jokes, these are callback jokes. When you find out new information about her, you can bring up these jokes and these flirty things multiple times. So every 10, 15 minutes, there's flirting going on. Now, when you stack that with the location changes, that will then allow for physical touch and flirty verbal lines going on, the physical and the verbal, and the location moving is the logistical. So you hit all three. That should build up over the course of an hour. Now let's look at the second half of the date. We're in a different location now. There's been some get to know you talk, there's been some flirting, there's been some touching. Now you can start to sit a little bit closer to her. This is how you start to bridge the gap, by the way. The gap is not bridged just by your words. You are not going to talk this woman to getting intimate with you. Yes, the verbal is part of it, but it is not the only part. And if you only do that or you're too dependent on that, the rest is not going to work. So it's nice when all of these pillars are moving up somewhat simultaneously. So yes, there's a little bit of movement and you leading. Yes, there's flirtatiousness going on throughout the date, verbally, using all the techniques I just laid out for you. Right? If you need more on that, on my main channel, Coach Kyle, there's so much live demo of me in the field showing you these concepts live. All right, you can watch that stuff if you need more help with that. And then what I'm showing you at the end of the date or the middle of the date is that we start to get closer together. The positioning and the seating, we are getting closer together. I want her to get more accustomed to my touch. And I just want this to be a slow, natural progression where we inevitably are touching shoulder and leg next to each other. She is right here and I'm showing her something on my phone, or she's showing me something, or I'm looking at her hand or her rings and I'm showing her my hand tat, or I'm showing her the bracelet my grandma gave me and I'm talking about something on her, or I'm just lightly touching. You need to be able to get really good at just lightly, it's not a massage, it's just very light, airy touch, right? You need to be able to do this, right? This is good. You don't do it the whole time. I'm not running the whole date like some magical spell crafting thing, but there's moments where she's here and if her arm's here and we're looking at something, I could just lightly touch her arm. I could look at her at a close distance while I'm just like lightly touching her. And I say a flirty thing. There could be a different moment where I'm touching both of her shoulders, right? Like I'm lightly touching. Her leg's next to my leg, my hand's on her leg, lightly touching her leg. I do that for a little bit, and I can even have her touch me a little bit. That is the next phase of this. If phase one is just, starting the date, and then you're sitting down and you start being a little flirty, then you location change, you guys get closer, and now you're still being a little flirty. Now light touch has been starting to be incorporated more. This is, I guess we're getting into phase three where we're pretty much right next to each other. We've already been light touching. Now you could take it, now we're already bridging the gap, by the way. Most guys don't do this part, right? But you're already starting to bridge the gap. The way that I would complete the gap is there's more physical touch, and then you start to do small acts, small moves of kissing, right? And I don't mean kiss. I actually recommend the first kiss. You could, if you're already touching her hand, she's already near you, you guys got comfortable touching, you could take her hand and give a soft, small, half-second pause on it. I'm not like awkwardly. You need to be able to touch and kiss and be smooth. You got to practice these movements, guys. Like I was awkward as hell with these movements. But you got to be able to, at some point, just confidently, you say some cute flirty thing. You say, wait, you gonna travel with me or what's up? And she's gonna say yes or no. And then you could just grab her hand, give her a nice little first kiss. That's the first kiss. The first kiss isn't, had a great night out tonight. Fucking lean in, try to just like stick your tongue down her throat. The first kiss is very innocent on the hand. That's a very easy way to do it. There was a girl I went on a date with a long time ago. She had a bruise on her tricep and I was playing with the tricep and she was like, oh, you hurt me. You bruised my tricep. And I was like, come here. And I kissed her tricep very soft. I said, my kisses will heal you. It doesn't even make sense, right? But I did that on her tricep, right? And so that was either the first or the second kiss. First kiss is either the hand or on the body if it makes sense. If you're touching her and you're like, wow, your skin's so smooth, you can give her a kiss right here. Kiss right here. If you're massaging her, she's right next to you, kiss her right there if you want, right? That's the first, second kiss. Third kiss or second to third kiss, you could even be close to her, maybe your arms around her, maybe you said something cute in her ear. Now the flirty things you could say into her ear. So initially I'm just saying them across the table, then we start getting closer, then we're like here and I say the thing. The third or fourth instance or phase, now I'm saying it a little bit more leaned over into her ear and I just kind of drop my voice down. So my voice is a little bit softer and slower. So I'll say the flirty thing in her ear. And then from that point, you could also kiss on the cheek too. So if you already kissed here, you already kissed on the body, you could then go, mwah, kiss on the cheek, right? If you do those things and you're already touching and you already got comfortable massaging, the last thing that you're gonna do is just start talking to her at a closer distance, right? So you're just at a distance, kind of like this. Maybe we're sitting back and we're right here. If you did all of these things, bro, you're already at like a 90-95% escalation. Now you have a very small move, which is you could take your hand at some point and very slowly put it behind here, and you could just tilt your head and you get in just a little bit closer. That's how you bring it to 98. That's how you bridge that gap. If you do all of those things, it will be very clear if she's comfortable to kiss you or not. And here's the other thing. The last thing is, guys, it's okay if she's not comfortable. That doesn't mean you do it. I'm not saying like, it's okay, you do it anyway. No, I mean like, it's okay if you don't kiss her, right? You just bring it to 98%. Just go practice everything I just did. Like actually take the pressure off of yourself because most guys, you know what's funny is most guys are so nervous and afraid to make the move that they don't make the move. And that's probably why you're clicking this video, is to how to bridge the gap. You don't even need to bridge the gap. Just make it a goal to get it to 98% and bring it to 98% multiple times. If you just do that, you'll know if she's still holding eye contact the second time you do it, or if she looks down at your lips, or if she's not at this position. Like she probably will move away or adjust herself. And if she does that 2 times, okay, cool, she wasn't ready to be kissed. But just by doing all those things, she will likely start to think about kissing you. Right? And then when the date's over, if you guys still didn't kiss, you could you could give her a hug, you pull away, you're just looking at her, just saying, I actually had a really fun night tonight. And you could just move in just a little bit closer and she'll tell you if she's ready to kiss. Dude, if she's not ready, just don't kiss. It doesn't mean you failed. Like there was a point in my journey where I was like, if I go home and I didn't kiss her, like I fucked up the date. It means I'm not attractive. It means I'm not good enough. And some of these pickup dudes, they correlate getting laid with them being a confident, sexy guy. And so they think they failed when they didn't get the lay or get the kiss. And they beat themselves up over it because then they think they suck and they've been studying all this stuff and they still didn't get the success. And so what does that mean about them as a person? And then they're rejected and it opens up their shame wound. And I mean, look, I'm guilty of all this stuff too. Like this, I'm just speaking from experience. This is what a lot of the things I went through earlier on in my journey that I had to work through, right? But it's okay. If she's not comfortable, cool. At least you didn't make her feel uncomfortable and you guys got to know each other and you displayed confidence that you could take it to that level. And if you see her again and you do similar moves, it will build up and get to a place where she's comfortable kissing you. All right? That's how you bridge the gap confidently. And that's how you bridge the gap without putting pressure on yourself that you need to kiss or think you're a failure if you didn't kiss. Because there are women out there, they felt comfortable with you, but they never felt uncomfortable with you, so they're down to see you again. And the next time they see you, they already know that it's probably going to go to that same level, if not further. And like, just because it doesn't happen the first time doesn't mean anything, man. Now look, if you want to start landing more dates, if you want more direct coaching, if you want me to break down your recordings, if you want us to coach you while you're out in the field live multiple times per week, so you can actually build social confidence, have the dating life you want, like my client. Like, this dude is actually going on dates now. He wasn't even approaching before. If you want to go from not approaching, depending on alcohol, depending on online dating, and not dating the women you really want, to actually having social confidence and the dating life and getting to a place where we're getting better on dates, I'd love to help you with that, man. Click the link down below. You can apply to work with me directly. That's all for this video, guys. Peace out.